Let's be brutally honest. When a woman's past starts to show through her behavior, most men feel it before they ever confirm it. You can sense it in her tone, in the way she moves through you, like someone who's played the game too many times. She knows the words, the rhythm, the reactions. She's not discovering love, she's repeating patterns, and deep down, you start to wonder, am I just the next chapter in a story she's already told too many times? See, most men don't want to admit this fear. Society tells you not to judge, not to think about her past, not to care. But the truth is, what a woman has lived through shapes the way she loves you. And sometimes that past leaves marks you can't ignore. When a woman has been with many men, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, she becomes different. Not ruined, not broken, but changed. The innocence of her connection fades. The excitement of something new becomes harder for her to feel. Love becomes less about emotion and more about strategy. You'll notice it in the small things first. The way she tests your reactions instead of expressing her truth. The way she flirts out of habit, not connection. The way she compliments you, perfectly timed, perfectly placed, like she's done it before. It's smooth, too smooth, because it is practiced. A woman who's been with a lot of men knows how to make you feel special, because she's studied men. She's seen how they fall, how they open up, how they break, and somewhere along the way, that curiosity turned into control. Her charm isn't just attraction, it's a skill. And every time she's been with someone new, she learned a little more about how to play the emotional chessboard. But here's where most men go wrong. They confuse experience with depth. They think because she's confident, outgoing, and emotionally fluent, she must be real. But what you're feeling might not be authenticity. It might just be repetition. When a woman's been through too many emotional bonds, she starts building armor disguised as confidence. She tells you she's just living in the moment, but it's really a wall. She says she doesn't believe in labels, but it's really fear. Fear of getting attached again, fear of losing control, fear of feeling that pain she swore she'd never let touch her twice. You'll see it when you try to get close. The moment you try to go deep, she jokes. You open up, she changes the subject. You talk about the future, she smiles and says, "Let's not overthink." And that's when you'll realize she's not really here for a connection. She's here for the feeling of connection, the high, the spark, the illusion, because real intimacy requires vulnerability, and that's something she traded for survival. And you'll start to question yourself. You'll think you're not enough. You'll think maybe you're doing something wrong. But the truth is, she's not reacting to you. She's reacting to them, all the ghosts of her past still living in her heart. You're not just dating her, you're dating the memory of every man who came before you, every promise that died, every wall that was built. And I need you to hear this, not to judge her, but to understand what you're dealing with. Because if you don't, you'll end up in a cycle you can't escape, trying to prove to a woman who's already emotionally spent that love still exists. You'll drain yourself trying to refill her cup. But her cup has holes, and no matter how much you pour in, it will never stay full. So if you ever feel like you're giving everything and still not being chosen, remember this. Not every woman who looks ready for love is. Some are still detoxing from attention, validation, and control. Some have confused affection with power. And some, no matter how beautiful they are, have simply lost the ability to feel what they once could. She might say all the right things, but if her actions echo the patterns of someone who's always halfway out the door, believe what you feel, not what you hear. Let's go deeper, because what most men don't realize is that experience doesn't just change how a woman behaves, it rewires what she values. When a woman has been with many men, she learns how to read desire like a language. She knows the look in a man's eyes before he even speaks. She knows what words pull his heartstrings, what silence draws him closer. And while that might sound attractive at first, it's not the same as purity of emotion. It's performance. It's a pattern she's perfected through trial, error, and heartbreak. She doesn't fall in love anymore. She calculates it. She doesn't feel excitement. She manufactures it. And you'll notice this when your effort doesn't move her the way it should. Compliments slide right off her. Sweet gestures barely touch her. That sparkle you were hoping to see? It's been dimmed by repetition. She's heard it all, felt it all, and learned to protect herself from it all. But protection has a cost. You can't build armor without losing warmth. And a woman who's lived through too many attachments begins to love from a distance. She's there physically, emotionally, verbally, but never all the way. She'll tell you about her dreams, but not her doubts. She'll share her memories, but skip the pain. She'll touch you, but only enough to keep you wanting more. Because what she fears most is giving her all again and being left empty. And here's the cruel irony. The more men she's been with, the less she actually trusts them. Not because all those men were bad, but because repetition breeds cynicism. Every "you're different" that turned out to be a lie. Every promise that ended in silence, every moment of connection that faded overnight, they all pile up. Until one day, she stops believing in the story altogether. You'll feel this in how she talks about relationships. Listen closely, not to what she says, but to how she says it. She'll laugh about love like it's a joke. She'll call herself emotionally unavailable, with pride. She'll say, "I just go with the flow," but you'll sense she's not flowing anywhere. She's just drifting, detached, guarded, and that's when a man's instinct kicks in. You'll want to fix her. You'll want to be the one who makes her believe again. You'll think your patience, your care, your consistency will melt her walls. But let me tell you something only experience can teach. A woman who's lived through too many stories doesn't need saving. She needs space. Because when a man tries to heal her, all she hears is another man trying to change her. She's not looking for healing. She's looking for control. That's why she tests you. That's why she flirts with your limits. That's why she pushes just to see if you'll chase. Because the chase makes her feel desired again. And desire to her is the closest thing left to love. It's not about connection anymore, it's about confirmation. And when you stop chasing, that's when her mask slips. You'll see flashes of the woman she used to be, vulnerable, scared, almost innocent again. But those moments are brief, because the second she senses you might see the truth behind her calm, she retreats, back into control, back into distance, back into the emotional fortress she built from the ruins of her past. But here's the part most men miss. None of this makes her evil or manipulative. It just makes her experienced. She's not bad, she's tired. She's not cold, she's cautious. She's not emotionless, she's selective. The tragedy is that in protecting herself from pain, she's also protecting herself from love. So when you meet a woman like this, who's stunning, magnetic, and yet unreachable, don't try to break her walls. Don't try to earn what she's unwilling to give. Respect her story and protect your peace. Because if you chase a woman who's still haunted by her past, you won't rescue her. You'll just become another memory she files away under almost. And maybe that's the hardest truth for a man to accept. That sometimes the woman who has everything, looks, charm, confidence, has nothing left to give where it really counts. So before you fall for her mystery, ask yourself, are you falling for her or for the version of her she wants you to see? Because one is love, the other is illusion. Question for you. Have you ever felt like you were competing with a woman's past? Not another man, but the ghost she still carries? Drop your answer in the comments. If this message spoke to you, hit like, subscribe for more psychological truths about women and relationships, and share this with a man who needs to understand what he's really up against. Let's strip away the illusions now, because there are patterns a woman can't hide, no matter how perfect her act may seem. If she's been with many men, not just physically, but emotionally, it shows in the way she connects, or rather, in how she avoids connecting too deeply. She'll tell you she values honesty, but watch what she does when real honesty enters the room. Her eyes will shift, her tone will change. She'll get uncomfortable, not because of you, but because authenticity feels foreign to her. She's used to emotional transactions, not emotional truth. One of the clearest signs? Her relationship with attention. A woman who's been pursued too often becomes addicted to validation. Not love, validation. You'll notice she can't sit in silence. She needs constant proof that she's still desired, still relevant, still in control. If you don't text fast enough, she'll bait a reaction. If you stop chasing, she'll post something subtle to pull your attention back. She doesn't do it out of malice. It's habit. Every man who came before you trained her to measure her worth by response, not respect. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. The more men who've desired her, the harder it becomes for her to desire anyone, because desire thrives on mystery, on anticipation, and when every emotion has been explored, the thrill fades. She knows how the story goes, the words, the promises, the highs, the heartbreak. She's lived the full script too many times. So even when she meets a good man, her heart is already half asleep. It's not that she doesn't like you. It's that she's been here before, and she already knows how it ends. She's mastered emotional escape. You'll see it when conflict arises. A woman who's been through too many emotional entanglements doesn't fight to fix, she detaches. You'll try to talk it through, and she'll go silent. You'll ask what's wrong, and she'll say, "It's fine." But what she really means is, "I've been here before, and I'm not doing this again." To her, emotional withdrawal is power. Distance is safety, and she's learned that when things get real, disappearing hurts less than trying. Another subtle clue is how she talks about her exes. She won't describe them with hate. She'll describe them with indifference. It's the indifference that gives it away, because true indifference comes from repetition. You can only stop caring when you've cared too many times. And that numbness she carries, it's not strength, it's burnout. She'll tell you she's independent, that she doesn't need a man. But watch what happens when you match that independence, when you don't chase, when you don't beg for her time. Suddenly, the mask slips, because independence for her is often a defense mechanism, a shield to hide the craving for connection she no longer knows how to sustain. She wants love, but she's lost faith in its stability. She wants a man, but she fears what comes after closeness. So she lives in between, never fully yours, never fully gone. And that in-between space is dangerous because it traps men. You'll think she's interested, and she is, but only enough to keep you emotionally invested, not enough to surrender. It's the emotional limbo that leaves you drained. You'll start wondering why every moment feels shallow, why her affection feels staged, why her love seems to come and go like a switch. It's because it is a switch, one she's learned to control with precision. And yet, beneath all that control, there's a truth she'll never admit. A woman who's been with many men secretly envies her former self, the one who could still feel deeply, who still believed in forever. But she's trapped between who she was and who she's become. She's not heartless, she's haunted. Every new connection reminds her of the ones that failed. Every spark of affection reminds her of the flame that burned out. So she stays half present, half protected, caught between craving intimacy and fearing it. That's why you'll feel both closeness and distance with her at the same time. One minute she's warm, open, playful. The next, she's cold, withdrawn, unreachable. It's not random, it's a pattern. And if you're not grounded, that push and pull will drain you. You'll chase her warmth like a drug. But remember, every high comes with a crash. So how do you protect yourself? By recognizing that chemistry isn't always connection. Sometimes it's trauma bonding. Sometimes it's the tension between your need to be chosen and her need to stay in control. And if you don't see it for what it is, you'll confuse emotional volatility for passion. But passion without peace is chaos dressed as love. She's not the villain in this story. She's the product of repetition. And while she might draw you in with mystery, understand this. Mystery built on emotional scars doesn't lead to depth. It leads to distance. Question for you. Have you ever been drawn to a woman who felt like a storm, beautiful, intense, but impossible to hold? Tell your story below. If this truth hit hard, like the video, subscribe for more insights into female psychology, and share this with a man who needs to recognize the signs before it's too late. Now let's talk about the part no one wants to face, the emotional aftermath that comes with loving a woman who's lived through too many stories. Because when you get close to her, you're not just dealing with who she is, you're dealing with what she's learned to survive. A woman who's been with a lot of men doesn't just carry memories, she carries strategies. Every heartbreak taught her something. Every goodbye taught her to hold back a little more. Every disappointment taught her that vulnerability is a liability. So now she plays love like chess. Every move is calculated. Every reaction is measured. Every emotion is filtered through the question, will this hurt me again? You'll notice it in the way she keeps control. Subtle, quiet, deliberate. She'll choose when to text first, when to compliment you, when to pull away. It's not random. It's her way of keeping the upper hand. Because the last time she surrendered control, she got hurt, and that wound never really closed. But here's the dark truth most men never see. Control is her new form of safety, and also her prison. She's mastered detachment so completely that she can't fully feel love anymore. She knows how to create attraction, but not connection. She can make you chase, but not stay, because staying requires surrender, and surrender terrifies her more than loneliness ever could. That's why she'll say she wants something real, but sabotage it when it appears. You'll see it in her patterns. She'll pull you close, then disappear. She'll tell you you're different, then test you like you're the same. She'll crave your attention, but punish you for giving it too easily. It's confusing until you understand that this isn't about you. It's about the ghosts she's fighting, the men who promised love and delivered pain, the moments that taught her to feel unsafe in connection. And if you're not careful, you'll start to internalize her distance as your failure. You'll chase harder. You'll overgive. You'll start negotiating for scraps of affection, thinking if you just love her enough, she'll finally open up. But love doesn't heal someone who doesn't want to be touched where it hurts. In fact, it pushes them further away, because your consistency reminds her of everything she stopped believing in. Here's the painful paradox. The more genuine you are, the less she trusts it. Because real love feels unfamiliar now, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. She's been in too many shallow connections to recognize depth anymore. So when you bring peace, she mistakes it for boredom. When you bring loyalty, she questions your motives. When you stay calm, she calls it detachment. And if you keep trying to prove your intentions, you'll end up proving something else entirely, that she can still control how you feel, that she still has emotional power. And that's what keeps her hooked. Not your love, but your reaction. The moment she senses she can affect your peace, she feels validated. Because that's the one thing she lost too many times: power. But men, listen carefully. You can't win by chasing power games. You win by stepping out of them, by maintaining your frame when she tries to break it, by walking away when she tests you with disrespect instead of affection. Because the only thing that shakes a woman like this is realizing you're not another man she can manipulate. You're the man she can't predict. When she sees your calm doesn't fade, when she feels your attention withdraw without bitterness, when she senses you won't fight for her confusion, that's when something changes. She starts to see the mirror, the reflection of her chaos, the weight of her control, and for the first time, she feels what you've been feeling all along: emptiness. You can't fix her. You can only reflect her truth, and maybe, just maybe, she'll decide to face it. But if she doesn't, you walk. Not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. Because your peace is not a prize she earns by healing, it's a boundary she must rise to meet. Every man who learns this lesson discovers something powerful, that your strength isn't proven by how much pain you can tolerate, but by how quickly you walk away from what disturbs your soul. You are not meant to heal every broken connection. You're meant to recognize when someone's story isn't ready to include yours. And that's where true masculinity lives. Not in control, not in conquest, but in emotional clarity. The ability to look at a woman who triggers your heart and still say, I see your beauty, but I won't drown in your past. Question for you. Have you ever stayed with someone hoping your love would change them, only to lose yourself in the process? Tell me your truth in the comments. If this message cut deep, like the video, subscribe for more insight into female psychology and the hidden power of masculine restraint. And share this with a brother who's trying to love a woman still at war with her past. Let's finish this with the truth no one dares to say out loud. You cannot make a woman like this fall in love with you through words, effort, or devotion. You can only make her respect you through absence, through discipline, through silence. Because the more you chase her emotions, the more she learns she controls yours. And the man she controls, she will never truly value. When a woman has been with many men, she's seen all types of pursuit. The smooth talkers, the romantics, the providers, the ones who begged, and the ones who bragged. She's seen every version of male desire. And do you know what that does? It dulls her sensitivity to it. Desire no longer moves her. Power does. Not power over her, but power over yourself. Because self-control is the only form of masculinity she can't manipulate. See, when you stop reacting, you shift everything. She's used to men proving, explaining, chasing, fighting for her time. But when you don't play that game, when you simply hold your frame, stay composed, and let her wonder why you're not falling like the rest, you trigger something deeper. Not attraction at first, confusion. And confusion is powerful, because when a woman can't figure you out, she can't forget you. That's the shift. You stop being another man trying to earn her, and become the mystery that disturbs her control. Suddenly, her patterns don't work. Her tests fail. Her silence doesn't scare you. Her games don't pull you in. You've stepped out of the loop that every other man before you spun in, and that's when the respect begins. Because every woman, no matter how emotionally detached, respects strength she can't sway. She might not show it. She might act like she doesn't care. But trust me, she notices. She feels it. The energy changes. You've become something she can't define, and that draws her closer than any words ever could. But here's where most men mess up. They mistake attention for value. They think if she comes back, it means she's changed. Number. It means she's curious. She wants to see if your calm was real or just a performance. And the moment you break, the moment you start explaining, justifying, or chasing again, she knows the truth. You weren't detached. You were pretending, and that illusion dies instantly. So don't play games. Live the truth. Be the man who doesn't need to prove. The man who doesn't measure his worth by how a woman reacts. The man who walks in purpose, not emotion. Because the second you center your life around a woman's attention, you lose the very thing that made her notice you in the first place, your focus. If she's been with a lot of men, she's seen every kind of attention. What she hasn't seen is a man who doesn't crumble when she withholds it. That's what shocks her system, that's what resets her attraction, and maybe, just maybe, that's what reminds her of what real masculinity feels like. But remember, this isn't about revenge, it's about reflection. You're not punishing her, you're teaching her what peace looks like. And sometimes, the most powerful lesson a man gives a woman is the silence that follows disrespect. Because when you pull back without anger, she feels the difference. You're not another bitter ex. You're not trying to prove your worth. You're done trying entirely. That's when she starts to think. That's when her mind replays the moments. That's when she realizes, you were the only man who didn't need her validation to feel like a man. And that realization burns deeper than any rejection ever could. But here's your final truth. Your goal isn't to make her regret. It's to become unshakable. To build yourself so solid that her approval becomes irrelevant. Because when your value doesn't depend on her response, you've already won. You've broken the psychological loop that keeps so many men stuck chasing women who can't love past their pain. You see, respect is born from restraint. Desire is born from distance. And love, real love, only grows in the presence of self-worth. When you hold that line, when you choose peace over pursuit, the world starts treating you differently. Not just women, everyone. You stop being the man who begs. You become the man who's chosen. Because when you master your emotions, you master attraction itself. So if she does those 7 things, if you recognize the signs that she's been through too many connections to value one, don't hate her, don't chase her, don't try to fix her. Simply step back. Let your silence do what your words never could. Because silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Question for you. When you walked away from someone who didn't value you, did your silence bring you peace, or did it make her chase you again? Share your story in the comments. If this message hit your soul, like the video, subscribe for more truths about women, respect, and masculine power, and share it with a friend who's still trying to earn love from a woman who's already forgotten what love feels like.